All right, good morning, everyone. First, before I start, I'll see what everybody thinks about my new haircut. Yes, I got myself a new haircut at Cost Cutters this past weekend. So, I want, first, I really want you to see it and see what you think. So, now, let's get into it. Yes, I got a new hat. It says Sadler Bell, just like the t shirt that I got as well that you saw before. I love the Pat McAfee this much. I would be willing to wear pretty much anything that says this in Pat's name on it and picture as well. Because he's my boy. I love that guy. And I love his show. And all his guys and gals that work for him and work with them. As well as ESPN. Because I was on his show once. I called in a couple of years ago. It was just before they joined, like a year before they joined ESPN. I called into the show. That's about that time they were taking fans to call in and ask questions and whatnot, and how they respond and answer the questions. So I called in once. I I held. I stayed on the line, even though I was in my other at a different occasion of work. I don't want to talk about that, but anyway, I was there. And I was on hold for quite a while. But hey, the the gentleman that answered my call was very nice and professional. And I got on. We were talking at that time. We were talking about Jonathan Taylor and the Packers. He asked me where was Jonathan Taylor be going, and I said the Packers. And at that time, there actually was conversations of Jonathan Taylor going to Green Bay, but of course that did not end up happening. And Jonathan Taylor is doing great this season so far with the Colts. And yes, the Colts have a winning season so far. Let's see how they're doing. So let's dive right on in. Let's go into the NFL first. So let's do it. We have, let me do it on my pad. And while I get in here, make sure if you don't have the new ESPN app, make sure you do download and sign up. You also go through YouTube provider as well as signing up and paying $29.95 a month, $30, $29.99 a month, or the $299 per year. So make sure you pick whichever one works for you. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about the NFL. I do also have breaking news as well on that as well. And you know who I'm talking about? That's right, Tyreek Hill. First off, let's do a quick recap. I start down and I go up. So I'll start with last night's games, going up into this past week, last Thursday. So actually, let me do it this way. Last Thursday, we had the Trinity win for the Seahawks for the Cardinals. Packers won. Packers would have won, but did not. Well, it says overtime. They went in overtime on Sunday Night Football, and yes, that game ended in a 40-40 tie. And yes, by watching that game and dissecting that game and looking at the stats, yes, there were a lot of mistakes done by Love. And yeah, Parsons did have a good homecoming, even though he was doing as well as he could in that thriller of the game. And so the Packers are 2-1-1. And the Dallas Cowboys are 1-2-1 as well. I need a quick drink here. So let me go through the water. Okay, I need to have a lot of beverages, water, Celsius, Prime, Mountain Dew, Dr. Pepper, all the beverages that I like, as well as Sunny D, and of course, you'll get the girl Uzi. Anyway, let's look at the box scores and see how well we can break this down. Yeah, Jordan Love had 3 touchdowns, but he had 1.12 sacks. Yeah, Jordan Love needs to do better with his game plan, especially when it comes to making decisions off the cuff. Because a lot of times he makes look he goes into the helmet, gets the play from the floor and the play caller, and sometimes he has to change the play depending on how the defense is lined up. But anyway, Josh Jacobs did have a good day with 2 touchdowns as well. And let's see here for the Cowboys, it was split a touchdown apiece with Javon Williams and Dak himself, actually. Jonathan Jacobs had four for 71 yards, 4 for 71 yards, and Romeo Dobbs had 6 carries, basically for 58 yards. Matthew Golden had 5, which is not bad. Matthew Golden, as I watch Matthew Golden, I think Matthew Golden is the golden goose for the Packers because yes, he is showing and starting to slowly becoming a elite and a legend, but he's not there all the way there quite yet. He's going to progress to that slowly but surely. He will. I can see him as the modern day Jordan Nelson. Not just because of the way he plays, but also the way his career will unfold with the Packers. I don't think he would ever. I think he wants to stay in Green Bay Packer. I bet he would not want to be traded or cut. For sure. And of course, he has a great contract with a good amount of money there. But anyway, let's get back into it. Tucker Kraft had 5 carries for 56 yards, so that's pretty good. Okay, let me see who had the most. Okay, Josh Dobbs had the most for the Packers with rushing. Actually with receiving. For the Cowboys, it was actually George Pickens with 134 yards with 8 carries. Which is the majority of the yardage with everybody else because that was the most, and the least was 8 yards. And that was recorded by Luke Shoemaker, actually. So yeah, that is definitely, you can tell by looking at their stats and the bar scores that you can tell that this game did end up in that tie at 40 apiece. Yeah, I gotta keep myself hydrated. And make sure you do hydrate all the time because you need to stay hydrated no matter what you do for a living. Like me, this is my career. I gotta keep myself hydrated and fueled to give you all the sports happenings that are going on out there. And yes, there was one fumble. Love to have the one fumble and for one loss. But here's the thing. Dallas did not have one. They had one receiving, but none for loss at all. And that's one of the things that I'm concerned about Jordan Love. Because Jordan, yeah, we gave basically Jordan Love basically $500,000 on his contract. But he is now playing up to that contract. He is not even playing to his contract whatsoever, let alone playing up to the standards of his draft status when he was drafted in 2020. And I believe it was 2020. Yeah, I believe it was. Yeah, the COVID year. Anyway, and yes, John Clowney, I had the week for one, actually, so that's good. Yeah, we know Clowney has been in the league for quite a while. Bull Mountain had 2 for 60. 20 Williams had 1 for 24 yards. See, for the Cowboys, and these are the kick returns. 106 for, that's the number, for 105 yards. 175 yards, actually. The Cowboys had no punt returns whatsoever in the game. But but the Packers did with Dobbs and Golden both. And Dobbs had 1 and Golden had 2, and he had 11 yards and 5 for Dobbs. That's pretty good for him. And of course, Brandon McManus and Brandon Aubrey. Yes, there was definitely some kicks that was missed. And don't forget that block extra point that led the Cowboys to that 2 points in the beginning of the game. For punting, the Packers, Daniel Whelan had 83 yards, and 2 of them were within what's called the landing zone in the 20. Same thing for Brennan Aguilar Engel, but was 1 within the 20. And he had 190 yards for him, for his punting. And that's basically what I'll give you on the box scores for that one. The Vikings and the Steelers, I'll talk about that in just a minute, because I'm going to talk about that one not once but twice. Anyway, the Chargers and the Giants. The Giants beat the Chargers at home 21-18. The Texans just shellacked the Titans 26-0. Falcons are doing well, actually, 34-27 at home against the Commanders. The Bears, of course, beat the Saints, and we all know the Saints, and I predict the Saints will be the number 1, 2, or 3 pick overall in the next year's draft, along with the Chicago Bears. But the Chicago Bears are supposedly showing some backbone and grit, and starting to look pretty good. But I'm just saying pretty good because I'm a Packer man. But anyway, the Eagles did win against the Buccaneers on the road, 31-25. Can the Eagles go back to back Super Bowls and win it? Just like the Chiefs did a couple years back, just before they went for the three-peat. And if they do that, can they do a three-peat? Anyway, let's move on. You have the Browns and the Lions. The Browns take out the Browns easily, 34-10. And that's another thing. The Lions actually beat the Browns, and the Packers lost to the Browns. So that's one thing that the Lions has over the Packers right there with that win. The Panthers and the Patriots easily get that one, 13-42 at home. And the 49ers are showing some a little bit of back. 21-26 loss at home against the Jaguars. Travis Hunter. The Colts have their first loss. So very few teams left that are undefeated yet to lose a game. And that was a 27 loss out in LA with the Rams. The Chiefs beat the Ravens 20-37. Yes, the Bears do beat the Raiders, but only by a slim margin, 25-24. And then, of course, last night's games. Jets, Dolphins, Bengals, and Broncos. The Broncos do giddy up and win that one, 28-3. And the Dolphins finally got a win, 21-27 at home. And this is the thing I wanted to talk about before I go to the Rockies game. Yes, I do have breaking news. Tyreek Hill have torn ACL and multiple ligaments, and with that news, he is out indefinitely for the rest of the season. So if you have Tyreek Hill on your fantasy draft, I would say let him go and pick someone else. Good luck with that. And yes, it says here that and yes, he had to go under the MRI and a CT scan to determine the extent of that damage, which was really, like I said, bad enough that he's out for the year. But my question is, with this injury, can Tyreek Hill make a comeback in a year or two? I don't know. He has been banged up. He's pretty banged up. I don't know how many years he has left. Let me know in the comments of the replay of this episode. Is Tyreek Hill done with his career, or would he still continue to keep on playing after he is fully recovered and cleared by the Dolphins medical team and doctor? And yes, he has nerve damage as well as and the blood flow as well. Good. God forbid there's no damage. They were looking at that. They're torn ligaments. He also has torn collars, so yes, he's gonna be out for quite a while. I would kind of like with Alex Smith. This big injury that Alex Smith had a long time ago before he made that gruesome recovery and came back. So this is that type of injury that he had, or similar to it. So yeah. And yes, with in the play that did that to that caused that injury was Tua on a third down. He left his leg was twisted under him as he was tackled out of bounds. So yes, it was an air. He had put it on an air cast, and then of course, like I said, he had to go to the local hospital for uh, for, for the treatment and tests to find out what the severity of the injury, and I just gave you that. And once I get more information on that and how long he's gonna be out, and how long when he start rehabbing that injury, I will let you know once I get that from my sources, and of course along with Alan Shelter and Ian Rappaport at ESPN. Okay. With that, now let's go talk about the last game that I wanted to talk about, and that's the Vikings and the Steelers and Dublin, Ireland. That's right, they played in Dublin, Ireland this past Sunday morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. And with that, the Steelers win that game 24-21. And now they are 3-1, and they are a record of 3-1. And the Vikings are yet at 502-2. Let's look at the box scores. And yes, don't forget, Carson Wentz is the quarterback right now for the Vikings since McCarthy's out. And he had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 48 sacks, and he had 350 yards. He is 30 for 46, 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, and 6 for 48 in sacks. Aaron Rodgers, it was like he was 18 for 22, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had 2.18 sacks. Okay, now let's see here. I'll show just breaking it all down. I will give you the team info by team. For rushing, they had 20, 70 yards, and 11 was the longest. Aaron Rodgers had 3 carries for 8 yards. But the team total was 29 carries, 131 yards with 2 touchdowns, of course. Justin Jefferson was doing well, but he did not even get a single touchdown. Not even one. The only 2 touchdowns I got is from Xavier Scott and Jalen Miller. So let's see. Yeah, and Cousin. For the defense, total team TOT is 69, 37 for Soul. Sacks was only 2, 4 TFLs. 75, 47, 61, and 10 for the same thing. That's there. Those are theirs with the TOTs, solo sacks, and TFLs. And yes, there were no interceptions for the Minnesota Vikings, but TG Watt had 1 for 13 yards, and John Elliott had 1 for -4. Hey. Oh, yeah. Will Richard for kicking. The Vikings, Alabama on Will Richard. 2 for 2 with field goals, 100%. And his longest was 41, and his extra points was 1 for 1. For Chris, for the Steelers, Chris Boswell was 1 for 2 with field goals, 50 and 0.0%. 33 was his longest, and he was 3 for 3 for his extra points as well. Okay, now I want to go into this because looking at the Steelers' weather being 3-1, could you say that Aaron Rodgers is finally playing like Aaron Rodgers in his prime? Because the way he's playing, he looks like he is post and pre Achilles back a couple of years ago, back when he was with the Jets. His first season with the New York Jets. He only did 4 plays a couple of years ago when that Achilles happened. And now, after that, and then the dumpster fire season he had the last a year ago. And now, for what he has with the Steelers, he has, to me, it looks like he had put a 4.180. I think that's what you call it, yeah. But anyway, a 4.60. That's what it is. Anyway, I want to go ahead and go into the next week because this is the thing. Here's the thing. The Vikings, yes, they play the Browns next week. But they played that game in London. That's right. They have the Vikings are playing not 1 but 2 games back to back overseas. Both games. Last week in Dublin, and then this week in London. How bad by the time they get back in the States, they would need at least a week off. Let me see if they get a bye week after that. Let me look at let's see. No, they do not. No, 19. Yeah, it looks like they do get that bye week after the Browns game before they take on the Eagles at home on the 19th. So it looks like they do get that bye week, so they get some extra rest from all that traveling and playing overseas in London and Dublin. So yeah, they're definitely going to be jet lagged for a while. Now, speaking of that, we got the Rams for this week on Thursday night. We got the Rams taking on the Niners on Prime TV as well. And so if you don't have Prime TV, make sure you sign up and do that as well. Cowboys will take on the Jets at noon on Fox. Of course, I said the Vikings taking on the Browns. That game is 8:30 in the morning on NFL Network and NFL Plus. We have the Texans and the Rangers at noon. CBS, these are the noon slate games, CBS and Fox. So make sure you check your local CBS and Fox stations and local time in your area. All right, so you got the Texans and the Ravens at the Ravens, Giants at the Saints, Broncos at the Eagles. And I think this game could be a good one. Yeah, for sure. And then you got the Raiders taking on the Colts, Dolphins taking on the Panthers at home. Those are the Fox ones. With the mistake. Now in the afternoon slate, we got the Seahawks at hosting the Buccaneers. They both are going into that game with a 3-1 record as well. Seahawks is favored by 3.5, according to ESPN Bet. Cardinals are taking on the undefeated Tennessee Titans in the loss column. The Chargers are hosting the Commanders at 3:25. I think that's a possible game of the week, I think. I'll check that out myself. Then I'll let you know in a sports short later on. For now, let's move on. This could also be one as well. The Bengals will be hosting the Lions at 3:25, also on Fox. And then we ran it out with the Sunday night game on NBC. Kelly Underwood singing that song that we all like. Rain on it for Sunday night. Bills will be hosting. We'll be taking on. We'll be taking on the Patriots. And yes, the Bills is one of those two teams that are a few teams that are left that have an undefeated season. And then next Monday, we only have one game. Not last night, but last night we had the two games. Next week, the coming week, and next Monday, a week from yesterday, there's only one game on simulcast ABC and ESPN. And of course, do not forget the Manning cast as well. And Kansas City is favored by 3.5 points on ESPN Bet. And if you want to make sure you make a wager on ESPN Bet, make sure you are 21 years or older. Terms and conditions do apply. Okay, let's see. And yes, the Broncos tweaks and sees Dolphins rushing a rush for 101 yards. That's why that happened last night. Okay, and yes, we got baseball, everybody. Baseball starts out tonight with a bang with the playoffs. The New York Yankees will take up and host the Red Sox. And that's the 5 o'clock game. Best game one of the series of the ALWC. And Boston is 100 plus 113 and 130 minus 135 for New York on ESPN Bet. Tigers will be in Cleveland taking on the Guardians. The Cubs will be taking on the Padres at home at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And the Tigers Guardians game is a noon game. So that game will be starting pretty soon. So if you want to listen to that, make sure you do have ESPN, the new ESPN app, so you can watch and follow along. And of course, ESPN Radio. If you want to listen to the play-by-play. And of course, Chris Bowman going with the Woods. Blah, 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 blah. And to win the night out, the Dodgers will take on the Reds at home at 8 p.m. on ESPN on the NLWC as well. And yes, and this is how it's gonna. And then Wednesday, tomorrow night, The same teams are is the same series. 5 o'clock for the Yankees, Red Sox. Noon for the Guardians and the Tigers. Cub 2 again on this summer on ABC for the Cubs and the Padres, and 8 p.m. on ESPN for the Dodgers and the Reds. So yes, there'll be games for a while for this series. And once this series is over, let's go into the playoff brackets, shall we? And yes, whoever wins the series with the Guardians and the Tigers will take on the Mariners on the 4th. Whoever wins the series with the Red Sox and the Yankees will take on the Blue Jays, also on the 4th. In that series, the Dodgers or the Reds will take on the Phillies, and the first game will be in Philadelphia. Also on the 4th on TBS. That one is we have TV provided for that TV station for that one. And of course, also on TBS, also on the 4th, the Brewers will host either the Cubbies or the Padres. And if it is the Cubs, this could be possibly the first time. Let me see when that happened last. Actually, when was the last time the Brewers played Chicago Cubs in playoff? You mind go Google. According to Google, it says here that the Brewers and the Cubs had never played in a playoff game in the postseason before. But I would need to check with my sources with ESPN and I work with ESPN Radio Mountain as well to see about that. Once I have that, I'll let you know that for sure. But probably not. So if that is the case, that they are not, then that could be the first. If that actually happens. I'm not sure if that will happen or not. And then the World Series will start on October the 24th, 6 days just before Halloween. And those games will be on Fox. So check your local Fox stations and your local time and your local time and your local Fox stations for that. Once we get to that. All right, now. Well, we had football week, and we had a lot of upsets this past weekend as well. So let's dive right on in as well. We'll start off with the first one in week 5. But the first upset, and yes, that was on the first 2 upsets, and they both were on last Friday night. The first one was 48, Virginia upsetting 8th ranked Florida State, 48-38 in double overtime. TCU drops 24. 24's TCU drops to Arizona State, 24-27 on the road. I'll go back to this one in a minute. I'll go to the bottom here. Yeah, BYU takes out primetime in the Colorado Buffaloes. Arkansas, Notre Dame easily gets the win over Arkansas, 56-13. USC, Illinois beats 21 USC. That's an upset, a little upset. Missouri, an easy win there, 6-42. Vanderbilt will be won their game by 20, 35, 55 at home. And I'll talk about that, the game they'll be taking on next. They'll be taking on this week in just a minute. Georgia Tech and Wake Forest in overtime. And Georgia Tech took that win in the overtime, 30-29. Tennessee and Mississippi State also in overtime. Tennessee pulls that off in the overtime, 41-34. Iowa State easily gets their game. Iowa State 39-14 to Arizona. Indiana takes out, easily beats Iowa 20-15 on the road. And yes, Auburn loses to Texas A&M 16-10 on the road. LSU, Ole Miss gets the win over LSU actually. 29-19 at home. So that was definitely a great upset right there. Penn State and Oregon, of course, that was a thriller going into double overtime. But Oregon prevailing on the road in Penn State with the whiteout, 30-24. Of course, Ohio State does business against Washington, 24-6. But now, the one I was looking forward to, because I'm an Alabama boy, that's what Alabama and Georgia goes at it. Number 5, Georgia hosts Alabama. And yes, Bama was the underdog in this game. And we all know that when Alabama is an underdog against Georgia, they always win the game. No matter if it's a national championship game, an SEC championship game, or even a regular season game. And we proved that last weekend with an Alabama victory, 24-21 Alabama on the road in Athens, Georgia. Let me break this one down for you, okay? And then I'll go into next week's set of games. And of course, I need my prime. And of course, I need my Celsius as well. So make sure you get yourself some Celsius or whatever Celsius is sold, as well as prime. You know, I got this traditional one before. Nice pop. Always refreshing. Always refreshing. I want to give a shout out to Prime and Logan Paul. All right, now let's break this down. Let's start with the box scores. And yes, Tyree Simpson had a clinic. And yes, he is on the Heisman watch as well. He had 2 touchdowns and with 24 carries, 38 attempts. And he had 276 yards with the 2 touchdowns. Garland Stockton only had 1 touchdown for 130 yards and 13 for 20. Jam Miller had 16 carries for 46 yards. Kevin Ridley, 10 carries for 30 yards. Twan Bernard, actually 5 for 20. 5 carries for 20 yards. Ty Simpson, 4 for 12 himself. Kidden Product, 1 carry for 11. And then, of course, the team is 2 for -2. Okay, for the next rushing. And yes, there were a couple of guys that had Cash Johnson of the Dogs had -7 yards for 2 carries. But Sherian Browns has the most in this one with the 1 touchdown and with 12 carries and 1 touchdown. And the other one was Josh Carey, 6 carries for 115 for the other touchdown. Okay, I gotta definitely bring up Ryan Williams up here. Ryan Williams had 5 carries. 43 yards. And according to this, isn't a touchdown, but I know this has gone well. But yes, he's making his plays. He's definitely doing. And if you want to go more in depth on Alabama football, make sure you do listen to the Locked on Bama podcast with Luke Robinson and Jim Steins. So yeah, make sure you listen to the Alabama podcast, the Locked on podcast, Locked on Bama podcast with Jimmy Steins and Luke Robinson. I listen to that all the time myself, and I definitely want to give them a plug here, and I will do that all the time because I love that show and I love these guys. and how they break everything down. And the pack and with the Bama's defense, they only was able to get one full sack. Same with Georgia's defense. That's right. And it was a low scoring game, 24-23. Yeah, Georgia was making a run to come back. Bama had the lead the entire game and never really gave it up at all. And Bama, neither team had interceptions at all. And Georgia only had what? One return for 19 yards only. Bama's kicking was great. 1 for 2 with field goals, 50%. Longest was 24 yards, and he was 3 for 3 for extra points. And I think there was one miss field goal, I think there was, if I remember correctly. Anyway, Peyton Wood was 0% and only had for field goals, and he had 3 for 3 for the extra points. For punting, there was not a whole lot of punts. There was a good bit though. For Bama, they had 119 yards for 2 in the 20, and 176 for the Dogs, with 3 in the 20. So, okay, let me go there. Let me go into the recap and go from there. Simpson counts for 3 touchdowns. 17, Alabama never trails to beat the Dogs. 5, 24-21. That's that. Ty Simpson's passed for 276 yards and 2 touchdowns and ran for a score as well. And held on late to beat the Dogs as well. Alabama 3-1, 1-3 in Southern in the conference play. And of course, the one loss we all know that was against the Seminoles of Florida State. But ever since then, the Bama have been turning on the Jets. And he was 3 straight. And yes, you have won 3 straight games since the opening game. Okay. Kevin DeBoer says they are already talking, they are not done with their improvement, and we've been really focused on that, not getting caught up in anything else other than what they could control. And I am super proud of them for that. And in a way with this, if you put it in Nick Saban words, he's basically talking about the rat poison. Excuse me. Yeah, rat poison. That's the only way that he can put it without saying the word rat poison. Anyway, Georgia, 3 for 1. They were 1-1 within the conference. Of course, they started behind with a 17-0. 17-7 in the first half only. They could only do 1 score in the first half altogether for the Dogs. And they are good on scoring in first halves. Even the first quarter. And yes, the Dogs did fall from 1-7 against the Tigers under coaching of Kobe Smart. And we all know Kobe Smart is one of Saban's assistants. So maybe one day he could become a Bama coach as well. Who knows? We'll see. And we all know him as a former Bama's defensive coordinator. Alabama ends Georgia's home win. And yes, Georgia, before going into this game, Georgia had a home game winning streak of 33 games. That streak was snapped by Alabama. 33 straight home games, largest active streak among the FBS schools and including in wins against a top 25 team. The top 25 teams as well. So, yeah. We're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll continue this after this message. Okay, and that commercial break was sponsored by Prime and Celsius as well. Okay, now, where were we? Oh, yeah. Yeah, with the Crimson Tide leading 24-21. All in the fourth quarter, the defense of linemen, LT over to drop Jordan's running back, Cash Jones, for a 2-yard loss on the fourth and one for Alabama's 8. And yes, one of Alabama's big guys actually was able to score a touchdown as well. And not many big guys like the one I'm talking about do score a touchdown. But hey, it's happened. Okay. And with that, let's go into week 6 with this weekend's games. And the Badgers are back in on the schedule after a week off last weekend. Starting Friday night on ESPN at late game at 9:30. We got BYU, Brigham Young University, will be hosting West Virginia as well. I'll bring this one up in a minute. I'll go down one down and go from there, and then I'll come back to this one as well. Wisconsin Badgers will take on the Michigan Big Blue in Michigan on Fox, and I believe if I'm correct, that will be where the Fox noon kickoff show will be with Mark Ingram and the guys. Mark Ingram, the guys in Open Mile. We got Texas and Florida going at it. Texas will be taking Florida in at the swamp on ESPN at 2:30 as well. And Georgia will take on Kentucky. Can Georgia rebound at 11 a.m. on ABC against Kentucky? Can Georgia rebound against Kentucky after losing to Alabama? Cincinnati will be taking on the Iowa State. Also at 11 in the morning on ESPN2. Excuse me. On Big Ten Network at 11, we got the Purdue taking on Illinois. And Illinois is just 2 games away from eligible bowl game. Right. Penn State will take on UCLA at 2:30 on CBS. And UCLA has yet to win a game. If they don't start getting any wins from now, they're not going to get a bowl game at all this year. Boise State 3-1 against Notre Dame, 2-2 Notre Dame at 2:30 on NBC and Peacock. If you don't have Peacock, make sure you do download the Peacock app on your devices and TVs and subscribe to it. I got mine as well. And make sure you sign up for that as well. And they are going to be favored by 20.5 points with Notre Dame, of course. They're not likely going to be a blowout. Virginia will take on Louisville at home at 2:30 on ESPN2. The 7.5 point Louisville favored on ESPN bet. And again, we had to be trying to do the order to place a bet on to use ESPN bet. And of course, terms and conditions do apply. Kent State takes on Oklahoma, and yes, Kent State needs to get some wins. They only got the one victory. If they want to get a bowl, but I'm sure they will or not, but we'll find out. But anyway, they play at 3 o'clock on SEC Network. We have Texas and Houston going at it at 6 o'clock on ESPN. And you got a Big Ten game going on, a classic Big Ten game going on. The Ohio State Buckeyes will be hosting Minnesota Golden Gophers on NBC and Peacock as well at 6:30 in the evening. So make sure you got enough food, enough grub. Make sure you follow that grill, whatever you want to do. Cater, whatever you want. And have all the beverages and all the beer ready to go to flow. All day Saturday and all day Sunday as well. All right, now we got Miami taking on Florida. Miami will be taking on Florida State on the road at 6:30 and 6:30 on ABC. Michigan State, 41. Michigan State will take on the undefeated Texas A&M at 6:30 on the SEC Network at 6:30. Yes, I did see that. And the last one I want to show is the Bama Vanderbilt game. Yeah, we all know how last year went with Alabama when we lost at Vanderbilt against Vandy, of course, a year ago. So yes, this is the revenge tour that we are on against Vanderbilt, and next time we get to take them on Alabama's field, on our court, on our terms. And that's a 2:30 game on ABC as well. And Bama's favored by 10.5 points on according to ESPN bet for that one. So yeah, and yes, college game day will be in Alabama in Tuscaloosa, Alabama as well. So shout out to all my friends, family, and everyone down there, as well as the student sections and everyone, my aunts and uncles and cousins and all that down there. I love you guys. I miss y'all. And hey, roll tide. Let's keep it going. Yes. See here. Let me put this. See if I can put it down a little bit more. According to the matchup predictions, Bama is favored, has a 74.3% chances of victory. The spread is plus 10.5 with a total of 0.056.5 for Vanderbilt. For Alabama, they are minus 10.5 with a 0.056.3 minus 20. And of course, Vanderbilt is even. The amount for Commodores is 340 and Bama is minus 450. For that game, that's your game time odds. And yes, Alabama looking at the season leaders for the two teams. Especially at quarterback. With Vanderbilt's quarterback with 13 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, and Bama's 11 yet to have a interception. I think Bama I can get this. This would definitely be a hard-fought game for sure. Pretty close. Could be chippy at the beginning at first for sure, because Veterans always have been a chippy team. That's how they beat us last year, being chippy at the beginning, and kept on chipping as well as they progressed throughout the game and made it worse for Bama. So yeah, looking at this week, Alabama will have definitely a fight on their hands for sure. But I'm picking Bama to win this one, even though I am a Bama guy. I picked Bama to win, but I picked them to win by a close margin. My prediction for this game, I'll give one to y'all later on in the week. I will do that Friday night when I do my preview of the games for Saturday morning. My preview for Saturday's games as well. I'll do that on Friday. Until then, I will move on before we wrap up today's episode. Let's see. And yes, Bama. I do have some news of Alabama. Alabama starting linebacker Rashawn is out indefinitely with a broken foot. So let's see how Alabama's going to replace him with Saturday's game as well. With that broken foot. And yes, of course, like I said earlier, that Alabama quarterback, Ty Simpson, is on the Heisman watch. So can Ty Simpson really can put together a Heisman worthy resume for this season going forward? Because I know we had that loss in week one, but we're winning now. We finally got a string of wins, and let's keep it going. Even if we lose another game, yeah, losses can happen no matter what. But hey, I want Bama to win because I'm, like I said, I'm a Bama guy, being born and raised down there. And looks like Virginia Tech has some news with Virginia Tech. Everyone, Virginia Tech has planned to add $229 million to their budget for 4 years that have been approved. Okay, this is good for Virginia Tech and the ACC as well. And that's the financial budget. So yeah, this budget is good. The position will add 47.1 million dollars to the budget in the current financial year, bringing the total athletics department budget to 190.1 million. That number would increase to 212.1 million from 2029 to 2030. So yes, Virginia Tech is definitely looking towards the future of their program with this budget approval. Okay, we should take a look at the AP poll. We got the newest rankings. And with the new rankings and all this upsets here, all the new rankings, we start bottom up. Arizona State at 25, Virginia at 24, Illinois dropped to 22, Notre Dame 21. Training is Michigan, but I think they can move up with the win over the Badgers, which should be pretty easy, I believe, because the Badgers have not been doing well yet, and they have yet to get enough wins for bowl eligibility. And looks like Luke Fickle is on the hot seat and possible filing as well. And then we got Missouri at 5-0 and 19, Florida State at 18, Georgia Tech at 17, Vandy at 16. But I think Vanderbilt will drop again. Will drop with the loss to Bama this weekend, but we'll see how that goes. Tennessee is 4-1 with a 15. 5-0 Iowa State is at 14. LSU 4-1 with that loss to Ole Miss. And of course, with Georgia's loss to Bama, they dropped to number 12 with 3-1. Texas Tech, of course, at 11 with their 4 start. And now on number 10 is Alabama. That's right, Bama's at number 10, which means they're back in the top 10 like they always have been. And with a win this weekend, we can get into the top, further up in the top 10 as well, maybe close to the top 5. And then after that, we got Texas just above Bama with a 3-1 record as well. At 9A, we got Indiana. Still also undefeated. Penn State with a 3-1 record. At 7-6, we got Texas of A&M. At number 6, Oklahoma at 5 is also with a 4-0 start, as well as Ole Miss with a 5-0 start. But good. At 4, Miami at 3 with a 4-0. 5-0 for Michigan, looking for the number 2 spot, and the Ohio State University at 1, where they're 4-0 start as well. So yeah, Bama jumped up 7 spots with their victory over Georgia this past weekend in Athens as well. We're about to wrap this up, but first we do need to go into firing. I brought this up a while ago. And yes, Bobby Petrino is back with Arkansas as their interim head coach, as they fire the head coach. Bobby Petrino overhauls Arkansas staff, fires assistants as well. Some assistants got the boot as well. After they lost to Notre Dame. And I don't blame them for this, for these firings right here. Head coach going, coordinator's going. Yeah. For Arkansas to have a winning season this year or even going forward, yeah, they need to start really thinking what they should do with the coaching staff. Hirings, firings, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's look at the Razorbacks. Let's see what they have left. Let me see if I can find them. Let me see if Bama plays them first. I don't think we do. Yeah, we don't. Let me look that up. Let me go here. Oh. There we go. So now you can take a minute to do so. It's been a while since Bama has played Arkansas, since you had this new playoff format going on with the 12-team format. And yes, we will find in a couple of weeks away before the first rankings of the committee will be released. So let's keep our hands tight on that as well. And yes, it looks like Texas will be taking on Texas A&M as well. Of course, they do in the final game of the year. Here we go, Arkansas. Yeah, Arkansas definitely needs to get some work done because they are 2-3 in their rankings going to this week's game. And they have, and of course, this week they have Tennessee, and then after they got Texas A&M, then Auburn, then Mississippi State, then LSU, which should be an easy win for them, as well as Texas, and then after that, ending it with Missouri. Yeah, they need to win, get some. So I don't blame Arkansas. The athletic department for Arkansas as well as the university for letting these people go, firing, whatnot. But yeah, I agree with this because if they want to have it to get back in it, they need to win 4 games. See, they have, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 7 games. They need to win 4 of them just to get bowl eligible. So yeah, so they see, so 4 out of 7. That's 3 games. They only are able to lose 3 games for them to go eligible. If they lose more than 3 games, they're done, and we're not gettable at all this year. Now let's go into let's go into Wisconsin because I know Wisconsin will be doing that. So let's go right here to the Ohio State side first. Let's try and get there. Here we go. Because yeah, the Badgers are 2-2 so far going into this season. They have, yeah, of course, the first one beat Miami, Ohio on the Thursday night, 17-0. Beat MTSU in a couple of weeks back. After that, the following week as well, 42-10. But then going to Alabama and losing to Alabama, 38-14, and then losing to Maryland just last week. This last Saturday. Yes, they lost to an unranked Maryland team. Of course, they both were unranked, but still, they lost to Maryland. That should have been an easy win for them, but no, it wasn't. So Luke Fickle's on. I know for a fact, I've heard that Luke Fickle's career is can with the match can be a big question mark. Because looking at the games, the rest of the season for the Badgers, they got Michigan this week. Iowa next week at home. Then they take on the Black Guys of the Ohio State also at home. And then take on the Ducks of Oregon on the road. And back here for Washington. And then back on the road for Indiana, then back home for Illinois, and then Missouri, and then that Minnesota to end the season. And I don't see many teams that they could possibly compete. They could possibly get. Last year they were all soaked up like this close, literally this close to getting Oregon, but they did not. Were not able to close it out. Maybe Iowa in that game is going to be on FS1. I'll give you at 6 o'clock at night, so that could be a night game. And then, of course, the Buckeye game Because I think they can take Iowa, so that would be. Because they're 2-2 now, so they need to win 4 more games, and they have one, two, three. We got 8 games left, and they need to win half of that just to be eligible for a bowl game. And the 14 that I can, only 14 I can see they can win could also be a possible loss, especially for how they did against Maryland this past weekend. Because they were trash. They were not playing well at all, like trash basically. Last Saturday. Now I know that I was at the game. My girlfriend and I went to the game, enjoyed it, but yeah, the Baptist did get the loss. Ruth Faco should get things together because I don't think he's going to be there for long. Won't be. I think we'll see how many more games the Badgers lose. I do see some more losses. I know Michigan could give it to them. There's a possible win there, but I'm not sure on that one. But I do know for a fact they would not lose Oregon and Ohio State. That's 2 wins, right? 2 losses right there. Maybe Indiana, possibly, but probably not. The only one I can tell for sure is Washington. Beating Washington should be easy game. And that's 1. And maybe Iowa. That's like 2 there. 2 out of the 4 they need. And then Minnesota is basically going to be a toss-up. Either way. And yes, we all know the Wisconsin Badgers last season ended their streak of bowl games when they lost to Minnesota last year. Will it happen again this year? And there's a possibility if the Badgers get 3 more wins, but they don't get another and lose. If they get 3 wins but lose 4, that way they will be 1 game shy of having to be bowl eligible, but don't get it. And could it come down to that same game that it was last year, this year in Minnesota for Paul Bunting Jacks? Gotta wait until then to find that out. But until then, let's get back in it. I don't know if the Badgers, part of the Badgers for me is recruiting, scouting. Because they don't get many people from the South like Alabama's, like Georgia, Ohio State, or some of the state northern teams, or because a lot of SEC schools get a lot of players, and of course there are some way going around the of the conferences as well, but not much of that in the Big Ten. The Big Ten is kind of like the SEC's lackey, so to speak. They kind of like leech on to us and try to infiltrate and try to get players that they can, if they can get them at all. And most of the time they don't. Hey, Mark Ingram, Alabama's first Heisman Trophy winner. He's a Michigan man. He was a Michigan man. That's right. Alabama had guys that played in the northern states in high school, and they went down there to play for college. Yes. And yes, there have been a couple of people from the South that played up here as well. I know there have been a player or two that played for the Badgers from my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. But anyway, with that said, going to our last subject, our last segment, actually. And yes, Texas is 3-1, and they only need 3 more games to get there themselves. They are in a good spot to get into the playoffs as well. And after Bama takes on Vanderbilt this week, maybe a couple weeks after that is when Texas would take on Vanderbilt themselves as well. But after this week's games, the following week, you don't know what that is for Texas. The Red River Rivalry, the classic. for Texas and Oklahoma. And that game will be in Austin as well. And yes, Texas will take on Georgia. If Bama and Texas both beat Georgia, I think they'll be. I can predict Bama and Texas will be playing each other in the SEC title game, flat out. Not Georgia, but Bama and Texas. With Bama winning out within the conference, we can actually do that, pull that off, and then take on Texas. And then there will be conversations that is Georgia still going to be the alpha male going to the alpha male, and will they still get in the playoffs themselves? Right now, currently they are in it at number 12, but at the tail end of it. But we gotta wait and see what Georgia has. Let me take a look at Georgia and see what they have left. Of course, they lost us last weekend. Bama, Kentucky this week. Auburn the following week. They got Ole Miss the week after that. And I can see an upset right there with Ole Miss and Georgia. So that could be another loss. Auburn, I don't know about Auburn there. Auburn all 3 games have played themselves for bowl eligibility as well. They could be a little bit choppy with Kentucky for a while before they really put on the points. But looking at their schedule, looking at Georgia's schedule, and for their chances to have a playoff berth and an SEC title game, they had to go through some good teams. Besides Georgia Tech, they only have one other team that they definitely will lose, will beat, and that's Charlotte. And that's not even a conference team with them at all. But they would need to survive against Auburn. But they definitely really need to squeak by against Ole Miss and Florida and Texas. And see if they can keep up with Michigan State just for them to keep their hopes for an SEC title. Because if not, which I don't think they will, it will be Alabama and Texas in the SEC title game. And whoever team wins will get into the playoff, as well as the second team, as well as the losing team as well. Even with 2 losses. Because I know last year Alabama did that. Tried to get in with 3 losses, but could not. And yes, let me go back to Alabama again, and then I'll wrap this up. Going back to Bama's schedule, I'm looking at their games, final games. We got Vandy this week, then we got Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, and Auburn. We should take care of Auburn, even though that can be a crazy one, because that is the Iron Bowl. And we can just eliminate Eastern Illinois, because that's not even a bowl game, and that would definitely be a blowout right there. But then we need to survive LSU, they need to survive Tennessee, and they need to survive Oklahoma. Because Oklahoma and Tennessee are the other 2 teams last year that beat Alabama, as well as Vanderbilt. So they still have to win this week against Vandy. And then under Missouri, they need to beat Tennessee and Oklahoma to complete that revenge tour and keep their playoff alive, as well as an SEC conference championship game. All right, we are in today's episode of the Sports Show, and before we go, I wanted to see what you think about this. I'm just thinking about this possibility. As a friend of mine, Evan Cohen. I might choose the name. We'll look at it. I'm going to Evan Cohen, and yes, we are going to try that interview again with Evan Cohen. He's going to talk with our friends that we work with at ESPN Radio Madison, so I can do that interview with him at our studios at the Everlight Solar Studios. So I will be doing that once I have that information. And when I do that, I will let you know. And I'll be doing that show live at the LA Solar Studios in Madison, the ESPN Madison's LA Solar Studios in Madison, live. My show. So until next time, until next week, and my shorts later on today and this weekend, later on this weekend. Till then, yes, I am the Pat McAfee man, and enjoy your week and your football week and weekend. Until next time, have a great one. See you then.